Two former champions who are yet to get off the mark will be in action in match number 14 at the Ekana Stadium in Lucknow. These were the two finalists at the 1996 World Cup. Australia, the most successful side in the history of white ball cricket, of ODI World Cups for sure, are looking like a pale shadow of themselves. What's happening with Australia?
I would say, actually, there's nothing happening with them. At this point of time, if you look at Mitchell Marsh, there are short of runs. David Warner has not got runs. The bowlers have not been able to take those early wickets, which they did it only against India. They've come up with only one spinner, which is Adam Zampa, who has taken only one wicket. Maxwell is the only bowler who has looked like taking wickets, but he's not your wicket taker. So there are a lot of questions, and top of everything, their fielding has been very, very disappointing. Against South Africa, they dropped about 7 catches, and that's something which you do not relate with Australian cricket. I mean, they are the first team that they take a lot of pride in their fielding, and that's something which is probably they must be thinking about.
I see a lot of chatter from cricket opinion makers, and off the record as well as on the record, they say that maybe Pat Cummins is not the kind of leader they should have come to this World Cup with. You agree to that assessment?
I don't really look at all those kind of things. Obviously you have the decision makers. The decision makers have put faith in your ability, and it's not that he's just made captain right now. He's been captain for a while. So all those things, they give room for these kind of debate when the team is not doing well. So it's all linked with that. I think they still have time in the tournament, and I think today's result, actually, they will take a lot of hopes from, and they can start. They still have time to turn things around. That team is capable of doing it. That spinner shot in these conditions, that's something which immediately you feel when you look at that side. That's something which was evident in the first game they played against. They've started the tournament with a couple of losses, and this upset is definitely going to help them, but provided they believe in that. And now the real question for that group is whether they have it in them to turn things around. Are they going to look at this situation as an opportunity, as a challenge which they want to overcome, or they just want to succumb to the pressure which has been applied right now of just by the magnitude of the tournament?
Yep, Australia have lost 7 out of their last 8 ODIs. Sri Lanka have been troubled with injuries to their first choice players as well. Shanaka goes out, but before we move to Sri Lanka, Parthiv, quickly, would you bring in Sean Abbott for Marcus Stoinis for this game?
Not really. I don't see Australia making any changes in their playing 11, because you see, Marcus Stoinis has been playing in Lucknow for a while. I mean, for full last year he has played for LSG there, so he knows the conditions well. So it would be a question of Marcus Stoinis or Cameron Green, but at this point of time they've made that change in bringing in Marcus Stoinis. And usually Australia is a kind of a team, they don't make too many changes in their playing 11. So I don't see them making any changes tomorrow. It will always be about the kind of cricket they want to play. And if you look at their batting lineup or their full playing 11, there are enough experienced players. So that's where Pat Cummins doesn't come into play. I mean, by David Warner or Steve Smith or Glenn Maxwell, they don't need the leader to push them to play well. They already are proven cricketers. They already have a lot of motivation to win that World Cup again. So that's something they should be thinking of. So I also with Zach in terms of thinking of whether Cummins should be captain or not. But there are enough experienced players. They don't need someone to push them.
Well, if you look at Afghanistan, I suppose the seeds of that big result against England were sown by Rehmanullah Gurbaz at the top, and runs not coming from Warner and Mitchell Marsh, making life difficult. They're just not able to take off. That launch pad isn't there, especially with the bat.
Well, obviously Warner is a match winner, so they need that start. They've carried Travis Head also. So that opening partnership, obviously everyone is going to give importance to. We'll have to wait and see when he's going to be fit and available. I think if they've made that call and the kind of situation they are in, they would want to make that change as soon as possible. Other than that, Mitchell Marsh is someone who again is going to be filling in. He was normally batting at number 3, but in absence of Travis Head, he's opening the innings. Opening stand is always going to be very crucial. I think putting runs on the whole is going to be very important. I think today's game is also a great example of that. We always have been talking about this, that if you have runs on board, you can create pressure. So important thing is you have to find a way of doing that. When you're looking at that Australia side also, there are enough players who are capable of getting a team to that position with the bat in hand. So when you are in this kind of situation, you're just looking at those individuals who are going to be those individuals who are going to step up for the team and create that spark which will get their campaign going. Because Australia, you can't see them at the bottom of the table. They are more than capable team of doing better than that.
Change in personnel, change in leadership for the 1996 World Champions Sri Lanka, Asia Cup finalists as well, remember. No Darshan Shanaka, he has had to go back home, he's out of the World Cup, and that means there will be a change in leadership. Kusal Mendes has been the lone positive. The runs are being scored, but the bowlers are leaking far too many runs, Parthiv.
Yeah, exactly. I think you rightly said that no runs have been scored, even in the game against South Africa, where South Africa had scored 428, but Sri Lanka had scored 326. Even against Pakistan, they'd got a very good score of 344. So yeah, the runs have been scored. There is no doubt about it. It's the bowling which is something Sri Lanka would be thinking of how to improve that, and the discipline in bowling, which is something been lacking in Sri Lanka's bowling. There are far too many wides, there are far too many loose deliveries. So that is something Sri Lanka would be looking to correct that. Question marks over Pathirana's fitness also. He's been bowling. He has considered 90 runs in 2 games, but if you can take those 2 games out, he's been bowling well. He's bowled well in Asia Cup. So I think bowling is something which Sri Lanka would be thinking of improving for sure.
Chamika Karunaratne joins the squad in place of Darshan Shanaka. Kusal Mendes will be leading Sri Lanka for the rest of the World Cup. For this game to be played in Lucknow against Australia, any changes that you'd recommend?
Well, there are a couple of forced changes right away. So Shanaka is not going to be there, and you might not see Pathirana if there is an injury concern. So Kasun Rajita is someone who is there. Lahiru Kumara, so these are the 2 options which they have. Chamika Karunaratne coming back in the side. Whether he's going to be available or not, we'll have to wait and see. If he's available, then it's going to be a straight swap, I feel. And also Pathirana's fitness is something which they will be debating hard on. Other than that, we've seen Sri Lanka looked light on bowling because their frontline bowlers were missing. Wanindu was not there. Chamira is not there. Is a big blow for their campaign right from the word go. Tikshana also didn't start the campaign. His fitness is also, we have to wait and see how it holds up in the tournament. So there were few concerns which Sri Lanka walked in the World Cup with. So we just have to see now how they and that showed also in the tournament so far. Sri Lanka, when they scored runs against Pakistan, they couldn't really finish that game, couldn't really defend that total. Was another telling example of them being bowling light. So it's basically we have to wait and see what kind of impact they do it in the tournament, but it doesn't look like they're going to go all the way.
Yeah, Hasaranga's absence clearly upsets the pace for Sri Lanka. Both these teams find themselves in the bottom half of the table at number 8 and number 10. Sri Lanka at 8, Australia at number 10. Both teams looking for their first win. Very quickly, we're going to wrap up very quickly, but who starts favourites and players to watch out for?
I think Australia definitely starts favourite. There is no doubt about it. I think, for me, Steve Smith is something, someone Australia will look up to. I think, this is their most experienced player and he's been batting well. So I think Steve Smith is someone which I'm thinking that players look out for Australia. And for Sri Lanka, again, easy choice, Kusal Mendes. He's been scoring.
He's taken my choice. Kusal Mendes, obviously, Shanaka not being there, being made captain. A lot will be dependent on him. So him for sure. And the start which you are mentioning, I think Warner is going to be the player to watch out for.